Well, as you've seen the recent news on Twitter about Australian football, no, there has been consistent trend regarding the Socceroos aside from our automatic qualification. We barely scrunched out of a weaker table with Japan as our only challenge. But that's besides the point. As you all know, although there's been rising talents that would make sure fit candidates from the national team that range from rising inform midfielder who last played for Hibernian on loan, Nectaris Triantis, a Gr- Greek Australian dual national who received backlash as he wanted to see out his options and didn't want to play in the key qualification games back in June, which was a month and a bit ago at the time of this recording. Triantis excels at a position of need in the midfield, a surefire bet of key weakness for the Socceroos. As a surefire field general who could progress the ball with his foot and create, unlike the previous candidates we had capped in the World Cup qualifying games. Offering more pace and a strong body that can finish if needed, which was shown as he won Hibernian's Young Player of the Year award and led the side to Europa League qualification, whom have asked for permanent rights to his services as a transfer. To go along with that, we have a town who's risen out of the woodworks in Antonio Arena. Antonio Arena. I don't know if I got that right. The latest signing Roma acquired from Pescara, Serie C side, who is an Australian Italian dual national, known for being the youngest scorer ever in the Serie C. I wonder the last guy who impressed. Turned out who was an Australian dual nat. But he primarily plays as an attacker, being 6'1", who's obviously caught the eye of Roma for his finishing capabilities and his raw potential on that in that on that side of the on that side. As he had just turned 16 recently, if acquired and if the FA put in a battle to at least acquire him and his allegiance and cap, he could become quite an asset to pair with the current captain and national we have playing for Watford at the moment come World Cup 2026. And while this is probably going to be more of a shorter or honorable mention, you have Noah Skoko, son of a past playing Socceroos, Josip Skoko, one that boasts Croatian, Australian national, dual national status. Unlike the two I mentioned before, we might not be able. It might not be as easy to get or to even convince to switch allegiance back to Australia or to at least permanently cap for Australia for World Cup 2026, as he probably has shown that he probably would rather prefer to cap and keep his allegiance with Croatia, especially since Croatia now is in a rebuilding stages in the incoming future. Even this, however, it is pretty difficult, but that but it is what it is, right? Of course, to move on, we add Noel Botic, the Western Sydney United standout from the last A League season, who was joint top scorer, who was joint top scorers in the league. Impressed with his goal scoring threat and creative abilities as an attacker. At as an attacker, as he led them to a playoff appearance, or ultimately losing, but with his technical ability, he has earned obviously the interest and, well, the move to Austrian outfit Vienna, who are currently, as the time of this recording, are fighting for a UEFA Conference League spot, and and finished fourth in the Austrian Premier League. Or okay, maybe I shouldn't say Austrian Premier League. That's not the league name. God dang it. But he boasts a big help to the national team with his technical and creative ability to get in behind on defenses that could really help the attack and solve a lot of key problems that we faced in the past, attacking wise. And to put this in perspective, the last goal scored for Australia in the qualifiers, or one of the last goals, was by a defender who hasn't scored in a decade. I'll let you imagine who that might be. Now we come out to a talent which has caught a lot of eyes on the national team, especially national team fans alike, and and was surprising when he didn't get his cap during the qualification games somehow. In Eredivisie Breeder standout Max Ballard, a 24-year-old defensive midfielder who just joined from Central Coast Mariners on a free transfer. He became one of the standout midfielders in the Eredivisie last season, spearholding a struggling knack breeder team in the midfield, who boasts great physical attributes, ball carrying ability, as well as having good passing chops and defensive ability, and good aerial ability, I should say, which is one of his key physical tools. It could be the strong presence that we end up capping to even out the midfield and potentially have as a replacement for Jackson Irvine, who honestly aging is aging pretty fastly. Although still playing at a higher standard, he would help in case Irvine gets injured, or to replace him entirely for World Cup 2026, alongside the names I've mentioned. Now, lastly, we will mention the other standout Western Sydney player, although from the Wanderers this time, is Nicholas Milanovic. Like Botic, is a crafty attacker who can put away chances clinically with pace and technical ability. Putting him again most defenders in the A League, and becoming the top scorer. Like, he was first in the most goals for the A League season, earning him reports from European sides before earning him a move to Aberdeen. And as again, while he hasn't started for Aberdeen, considering they haven't played a match just yet, he could be a very promising addition to the attack come World Cup 2026 and show out and then show the world and Australia the potential of the golden generation that we have at our feet. And while I can name more talents, we'll be here for quite a while. For what I'm really saying is that we Socceroos fans should realize the truth and urge the FA to fight for these talents to call up to our national team and sell them the 2026 World Cup and beyond. And other things like fixing the beautiful game down here, making it more accessible and not a literal cash grab like the US men's national team is doing to their game. So talented players can't be filtered out because they couldn't make enough money. They couldn't fork out thousands of dollars from their parents, just to play in the MPL or to maybe play in events that would guarantee looks from scouts from the A League and all the Socceroos national team, especially for younger talent, and that we should prioritize growing the beautiful game out of passion instead of capitalistic greed that has let us down for decades on end. Which is why it's been 20 odd years since 2004 that we finally have a rising golden generation that we can call, that we can be proud of. Which is why we need to call out the FA alongside the corporations that run football in this country as well, to give younger Australian footballers more opportunities to show the talent or even progress it in the youth development pipeline to result in potential more talents for the national team and growing the domestic game even further beyond to go to either play domestically or abroad. Regardless of who is playing the beautiful game in Australia, regardless of either race, social, economic status, or gender. And, well, to last cap off, hire some national team managers that have a modern view of football and not just guys who played the same backwards pass back possession football that has plagued us for decades because they won't get with the times and play a little more faster and play football that actually isn't a snooze fest, even just to scrounge out draws that we sh- that will that should have been wins, or lose games painfully to teams we shouldn't have. Either way, that is all for this video. Lasting thing, Tony Popovich, please be replaced from my national team. Before he's going to shock y'all with how incompetent he is come World Cup 2026. And that the Australian FA should stop having the egos of powerhouse national teams like France, Germany, Argentina, and so forth. Goodbye.